We are at Resilient Cities 2011 in Bonn, Germany, and I have with me Andrew Steer, Special Envoy on Climate Change of the World Bank. It's time for real questions. Andrew, you have taken on this demanding role of being the Special Envoy on Climate Change of a mighty organization in this world like the World Bank. So what do you see as the greatest challenge in your post?
Getting action early enough. Every year that passes, the costs of addressing climate change rise, and the chances of us avoiding a very, very, very serious problem. There will be a global deal on climate change. The question is, will it be soon enough to protect the poor of the world who are the most deeply threatened? And they are very, very deeply threatened.
So action is needed and rapid action is needed. I guess some years back when you were a young man and you were discovering the world and starting reading the newspaper, seeing the headlines, you were probably having a very optimistic picture of the world. Maybe during your professional life you have seen that this globe faces challenges. You are now, with your current post, in the middle of addressing these challenges. Would you think that since then and today the state of the world has improved or has it worsened?
It's a mixed picture, but overall the world is a much better place. Compared to when I was born, people on average live 20 years longer now. When I was born, one child in 7 in the developing world died before they were 5 years old. Now that number has been cut by 3/4. When I was born, maybe 1 girl out of 4 in the developing world was in school. Now it's nearly universal. One could go case after case after case, and one would see that immunization rates, health conditions, literacy rates, income levels have improved. But not all has improved. The state of the world's environment is much worse than it was when I was born, and that's why we now need to give this such a high priority, because there is a serious risk that the brilliant progress that has been made in some areas, and the last 2 decades has seen more progress in terms of human well-being measured by these simple indicators than any other 2 decades probably in history. There is a real possibility that this will be undermined very, very seriously by the threats of environmental degradation and climate change in particular.
Talking about climate change, climate is something that humankind shares around the globe. So it's not territorial, it's not bound to a territory. You can think of other global resources, let's say oil, that's bound more or less to territories. Water you can capture it locally. Climate you can't capture locally. So it occurs to me that climate is not being owned by one or more or all national governments, nation states. So who is owning the climate? But moreover, who should be the guardian and who should be safeguarding the global climate?
Well, in time, we may need some international body that holds us all to account, but we shouldn't wait for that. And one of the remarkable stories is that action is already taking, and nobody at the international level is telling local mayors that we see at this remarkable ICLEI conference we're at the moment. No one's telling them to do what they're doing on climate change. No one's telling China that they have to introduce cap-and-trade systems in the cities of major cities of China, which they're going to do in the next couple of years. No one's telling Mayor Ebrard of Mexico City, from the international level at least, that you have to have a climate change action plan for the city of Mexico City. The people that are telling him to do that are his own citizens and his own conscience. And that's where the action is. So whilst I think it's very important for us to struggle with how should the global sort of story be managed, because you're quite right, it's the biggest sort of global market failure in the history of the world, climate change is, as Lord Nicholas Stern likes to say. So in that context, yes, you do need a regulatory environment, But in the meantime, it is remarkable how nations, cities, and communities are taking action into their own accounts. Now, in the coming couple of years, there will be some very important decisions made on financing structures and on regulatory structures, and we need to monitor them. We don't, the World Bank, have a view. It is for negotiators and for nations to decide. But we do want something that is efficient and is fair and takes into account that the primary burden of impact will be upon the world's poor.
Thank you very much, Andrew Steer, Special Envoy on Climate Change of the World Bank. It was time for Real Questions at Resilient Cities 2011 in Bonn, Germany.
Thank you.